The silence of this place is a liar. It pretends to be peace, a soft blanket thrown over the jagged edges of the world. But I know better. Silence is a held breath, a predator waiting. The space between the last word of a promise and the quiet snap of it breaking. I live in that space. My cottage is a tiny, stubborn stone against the vast, dark tide of the forest. Grandfather built it here, on the very fringe of the packed lands, a place where human rules frayed and an older, wilder law held sway. He understood them, the wolves. He respected their boundaries. I just hide behind them. The wind whines around the eaves, a lonely sound that echoes the hollow space inside my ribs. It's a constant ache, that emptiness, a phantom limb where a life was supposed to be. A life with a husband, a family, a voice that was heard, a life before a man's pride decided my truth was an inconvenience. He called me barren. A whisper first, then a pronouncement. A judgment handed down in a sterile office that smelled of antiseptic and dismissal. My body, a failure. My word, a hysteria. It was easier for him, for everyone, to label me broken than to believe I was simply betrayed. So I ran. I ran from the polished floors and polite lies of the human world until my lungs burned, and I ended up here, in the one place my grandfather ever called home. A place where the silence feels less like judgment and more like a warning. Tonight, the warning is louder. The air is thick, charged with the electric hum of an impending storm. The trees are black cutouts against a bruised purple sky. I trace the condensation on the window pane, my finger leaving a snail's trail through the gloom. I shouldn't be here, a human woman, alone, a splinter in the paw of a great beast. But the wolves tolerate me, a legacy of my grandfather's honor, a quiet, conditional truce. Have they watch me? I feel their eyes sometimes when I gather herbs near the tree line, a flicker of movement, the glint of amber in the deep shadows. They are ghosts, rumors on the wind, powerful, dangerous, and utterly separate. A floorboard creaks upstairs. Just the house settling. Just the wind. My heart hammers against my ribs anyway. A frantic bird in a cage of bone. Fear is a familiar companion, its cold fingers always tracing the back of my neck. It's the fear of being found by the world I left behind, and the fear of being discovered by the one I now inhabit, caught between two worlds belonging to neither. A rumble of thunder shakes the little cottage, rattling the glass in its frame. Rain begins to fall. Not a gentle patter, but a hard, angry torrent. It sounds like 1,000 fists beating against the roof, demanding entry. I wrap my arms around myself, a poor substitute for another's embrace. Loneliness is a cold, heavy cloak. Some nights, it feels like it's going to suffocate me. Another sound cuts through the storm's fury. Not thunder. Not wind. A sharp, panicked cry. It's thin, reedy, desperate. It's close. Too close. My blood runs cold. Animals cry out in the night. I know this. The forest is a brutal place of hunter and hunted. But this sound, it's different. It's not the cry of a rabbit caught in a snare. It's smaller, younger. I press my ear against the wet glass of the window, trying to pinpoint the direction. The sound is nearly swallowed by the gale, but I hear it again, a wail of pure, helpless misery. It's coming from my port. Every instinct screams at me. Don't open the door. Don't look. This is not your world. These are not your rules. You are a guest here, a ghost. Ghosts do not interfere. The men who hurt me, who cast me out, they all had one thing in common. They looked away. They saw suffering or injustice or just my own quiet pain, and they chose not to see it. They turned their heads, They walked away. It was easier. The cry comes again, weaker this time, punctuated by a racking cough. Damn it. My hand trembles as I reach for the heavy iron latch on the door. My grandfather's voice is a faint echo in my memory. Don't meddle, Alara. Their laws are not ours. Their justice is swift and unforgiving. But the memory of being left alone is stronger. The memory of my own cries going unanswered. I cannot be them. I will not be them. That is the one thing I have left. The one choice I can still make. I take a deep, shuddering breath, the air tasting of rain and ozone. Then, I pull the door open. The wind rips it from my grasp, slamming it back against the interior wall. Rain and leaves plaster my face. For a moment, I see nothing but the churning darkness, then my eyes adjust. On the top step, huddled in the corner where the roof offers the slightest protection, is a basket. A simple wicker basket soaked through. And from inside it, the whimpering sound rises again, a fragile thread against the storm's roar. My heart stops. This is not a stray animal. This is deliberate. This was left for me. My feet are frozen to the floorboards. This is a test, a trap, a horror, waiting to unfold. I should slam the door, pretend I saw nothing. I should. But a tiny, pale hand, impossibly small, fists its way out from under a damp wool blanket. The fingers are tipped with delicate, dark claws that have not yet hardened. It's a pup, a wolf pup. But it's not just a wolf. The shape under the blanket is wrong. Too long. Too human. A shifter. A baby. I move without thinking, my body acting on an impulse my mind is screaming to deny. I rush out into the lashing rain, my thin nightgown instantly soaked and clinging to my skin. The cold is a shock, but the sight in the basket is a deeper one. I kneel, my knees scraping on the rough stone. Inside, nestled in the damp wool, is an infant. He can't be more than a few months old. His skin is pale and clammy, his face screwed up in discomfort. His hair is a shock of dark fuzz, plastered to his scalp. His eyes are closed, but his little body is trembling violently. A fever. A bad one. And his ears. His ears are not the rounded shells of a human baby. They are slightly pointed, covered in the same soft, dark fuzz as his hair. This is a crime. I know enough of their laws to know this. To abandon a pup is a death sentence for the parents. To be found with an unclaimed pup, I don't want to imagine the penalty for that. Especially for a human. I look around wildly, into the dark, roaring maw of the forest. Who would do this? Who would leave a child to die in a storm? The baby lets out another pained cry, a sound that bypasses all my fear and pierces straight through to that hollow place in my chest. It fills it with a hot, fierce ache. Logic is screaming. Self-preservation is roaring. Leave it. Take it to the pack's border. Leave a sign. Do not bring it into your house. Do not cross that line. But I look down at the tiny, shivering form, at the blue tinge to his lips, and I see every person who ever turned their back on me, every doctor who patronized me, every friend who faded away, the man who promised forever and gave me a diagnosis instead. They all left me in the storm. I can't. With a sob that is torn from my throat, I gather the basket into my arms. It's heavier than it looks. The weight of a life. The weight of a choice that will change everything. I stumble back inside, kicking the door shut against the raging wind. The latch falls into place with a heavy, final thud. The sound echoes in the sudden quiet of the cottage. The threshold has been crossed. There is no going back. The world shrinks to the four walls of my cottage. The storm outside is a distant, muffled roar. Inside, there is only the sound of the baby's ragged breathing and the frantic drumming of my own heart. I place the basket on the thick bearskin rug before the hearth. My hands are shaking so badly I can barely unwrap the sodden blanket. The baby the pupus cold to the touch. A terrifying, clammy cold that speaks of a deep chill, a life guttering like a weak flame. His little body is racked with tremors. I need to get him warm now. I work on autopilot, my fear pushed down by a desperate, focused urgency. I strip off the wet blanket and the simple linen shift he's wearing. His skin is almost translucent, a delicate web of blue veins visible beneath. He's so small, so fragile. My hands, which have always felt clumsy and useless, feel monstrously large as I handle him. I grab the softest towels I own and gently, methodically dry every inch of his tiny body. He doesn't cry, just makes a low, continuous mewling sound, a noise of pure misery. His eyes flutter open for a second. They are a startling, deep blue, almost violet, and, for a heartbeat, they seem to focus on my face with an unnerving intelligence before they squeeze shut again. "It's okay," I whisper, my voice rough and unused. "It's okay. I've got you." The words feel strange in my mouth. Who am I comforting? Him or myself? I stoke the fire, adding logs until it's blazing, casting flickering shadows that dance on the walls like ancient spirits. The cottage begins to warm, the air filled with the scent of pine and wood smoke. I wrap the baby in my thickest, driest wool blanket, the one my grandfather used in his final days, and hold him close to my chest. I need to feel his skin against mine, to give him my own warmth. Sitting in the old rocking chair, I unbutton my damp nightgown and tuck him inside, his cool cheek against my breast. His shivering is a constant vibration against my own body. I rock him slowly, rhythmically, humming a tune I don't remember learning, a lullaby from a life I never had. Hours pass like this. Me and the baby and the fire and the storm. The world outside can't touch us. In here, I am not the barren outcast. I am not the timid human on the edge of their territory. I am just a shield, a source of warmth. He needs more than warmth. He needs medicine. His breathing is shallow, punctuated by a wet, rattling cough that shakes his entire frame. I know herbs. It was my grandfather's trade, the one thing he taught me that felt useful. I can't brew anything for a shifter pup with any certainty, but fever is fever. I know what cools the blood. I know what eases the lungs. With the baby still tucked against me, I move to my small kitchen alcove. One-handed, I grind yarrow and elderflower with a mortar and pestle. The familiar, earthy scent is calming. I steep the herbs in hot water, strain the liquid, and let it cool. How to get it into him? I find an old eyedropper. It will have to do. Gently, I squeeze a single drop of the herbal infusion onto his lips. He grimaces, but his mouth opens slightly. A primal instinct. I manage to get a few more drops in. It's not much, but it's something. "Come on, little one," I murmur, my lips against the fine fuzz of his hair. It smells of rain and something else, something wild and clean, like ozone and wet earth. You have to fight, you have to be strong. As dawn approaches, the storm finally breaks. The rain softens to a gentle drumming on the roof. The wind sighs itself to sleep. Through the window, I see a sliver of pale, watery light on the horizon, and the baby's shivering stop. I hold my breath, my hand hovering over his chest. For a terrifying second, I think the worst. But then I feel it. A tiny, steady rhythm. His breathing is deeper now, less ragged. I press my fingers to his forehead. He's still hot, but the terrifying, consuming fire of the fever seems to have banked a little. A relief washes over me so intensely my knees feel weak. I sink back into the rocking chair, utterly exhausted. The baby sleeps on, his little body limp and heavy in my arms. I look down at him, at the perfect miniature bow of his lips, the dark sweep of his lashes against his pale cheeks. A fierce, savage wave of protectiveness crashes over me. It's an emotion so powerful it steals my breath. It's terrifying, and it's the most real thing I've felt in years. Who are you? Where did you come from? And what am I going to do with you? The days that follow fall into a new, strange rhythm. The rhythm of a life that is no longer just my own. I call him Finn. I don't know why. The name just appears in my mind as I'm watching him sleep, his little chest rising and falling in the soft morning light. It feels right, solid, a small anchor in a sea of uncertainty. My world, once defined by its aching emptiness, is now filled to the brim. There are feedings to manage, a clumsy process involving goat's milk I buy from a far-off human farm and the herbal dropper. There are messes to clean. There are long hours spent rocking him, humming to him, simply holding him. My isolation is broken. Not by a person, but by a presence. A demanding, helpless, and utterly captivating presence. Finn's fever recedes slowly, but his recovery is unnatural. A cut on his hand from one of his own tiny claws vanishes overnight. His appetite becomes voracious. He gains weight at a rate that seems impossible. The shifter blood in him is potent, a powerful engine of life. He watches me. His deep blue eyes, no longer clouded by sickness, follow my every move. There's an awareness in his gaze that is startling for an infant. It's not just the vague focus of a human baby. It feels like he's seeing me, really seeing me. When I speak to him, his head cocks to the side, as if he's parsing the meaning behind my words, not just the tone. And so, I talk. At first, it's just nonsense. Little observations about the fire, or the birds outside the window. But the silence of the cottage, once a companion, now feels like a vacuum demanding to be filled. And Finn is the perfect audience. He doesn't judge. He doesn't interrupt. He just listens with those big, solemn eyes. I find myself telling him things I've never said aloud to anyone. "Your hands are so small," I whisper one afternoon, tracing the delicate lines on his palm. "They told me I could never hold hands like these, that my body was a closed door, a barren field." I tell him about my grandfather, about the scent of sawdust and pipe tobacco that always clung to his clothes. I tell him about the betrayal, the quiet, soul-crushing humiliation of being dismissed and disbelieved. He said he loved me. I tell Finn, my voice a raw, tight thing. But when the doctors spoke, he listened to them. Not to me. It was easier to believe in a flaw in my body than a flaw in his character. Pouring out the poison feels cathartic. The words hang in the quiet air of the cottage, and then they dissipate, absorbed by the wood and the stone and the rapt attention of the baby in my arms. A bond forms between us, silent and profound. My fear for my own safety begins to fade, replaced by a much more potent fear for his. I find myself scanning the tree line not for threats to me, but for threats to him. Any sign of the pack, any sign of the person who abandoned him. One evening, I'm sitting on the floor, watching him as he lies on the bearskin rug. He's stronger now, able to push himself up for a few seconds. He makes a frustrated noise, his little legs kicking. He's trying to roll over. I reach out, my hand hovering over his back, ready to help. "You can do it, Finn. You're so strong." He strains, his face turning red. And then, with a little grunt, he flops over onto his stomach. He lifts his head, looking around with a triumphant expression that is so purely comically baby-like that I laugh. A real, genuine laugh that feels rusty from disuse. The sound surprises me as much as it does him. His eyes widen, and a gummy, toothless smile spreads across his face. My heart clenches. I reach out and lay my hand flat on his back. His skin is warm and soft beneath my palm. My touch has always been hesitant, something I kept to myself, but with him, it's easy, natural. As my fingers rest between his tiny shoulder blades, I feel a faint, strange hum, a low-level vibration, like a distant engine. It's not him trembling, it's energy. A quiet thrum of power that sinks into my skin. It feels like recognition, like a puzzle piece clicking into place. And in that moment, for the first time in so long, I don't feel alone. I feel a sense of rightness, a sense of safety that comes not from my solitude, but from this connection. The thought is so foreign, so dangerous, that I pull my hand back as if burned. What am I doing? I'm a human. He's a shifter. This quiet little world we've built is a fantasy, a bubble. And the forest outside is filled with sharp things that can pop it in an instant. The comfort he gives me is a lie. The safety I feel is an illusion. But as I look at him, gurgling happily on the rug, my weary, cynical heart doesn't believe it. The bubble pops on a crisp, cold morning 2 weeks later. The air is sharp with the scent of pine and impending frost. The leaves have turned to fire on the trees. I'm outside, hanging the small load of Finn's washed linens on a line stretched between 2 birches. Finn himself is bundled in a basket by the door, gurgling at the dancing leaves. The world feels peaceful, dangerously so. Then, I feel it. A change in the atmosphere. The birdsong abruptly ceases. The gentle breeze dies. A heavy, watchful silence descends. I freeze, my hand still holding a small linen shift. They're here. I don't see them at first, but I feel them. A pressure in the air, the weight of multiple presences, hidden just beyond the veil of the trees. My first instinct is to grab Finn, to run inside, bar the door, and hide. But where would I go? My little cottage is a cage, not a fortress. Slowly, deliberately, I turn my head, and my blood turns to ice water in my veins. They emerge from the woods not as wolves, but as men. 4 of them. They move with a fluid, predatory grace that is utterly inhuman. They are large, powerfully built, dressed in practical leather and wool. But it's their eyes that stop my breath. They are the eyes of predators, ancient and knowing. One steps forward. He is clearly the leader, tall, with hair the color of sun-bleached wheat and eyes as cold and gray as a winter sky. He is handsome in a cruel, sharp-edged way. A scar cuts through one eyebrow, giving him a permanent scowl. His gaze sweeps over my small yard, lingers on the washing line with its telltale tiny garments, and then lands on the basket by the door. A low sound rumbles in his chest, a growl. I force my feet to move, placing myself squarely between him and Finn. My body is trembling, but I lift my chin. I will not cower, not for Finn. You are trespassing, I say, my voice shockingly steady. The man's lips curl into a smirk that holds no warmth. The human speaks. We are the pack of the Black Moon. This land is ours. It is you who are trespassing on our laws. His cold gray eyes pin me in place. We have been searching for a lost child, a pup, stolen from his cradle. Stolen. The word is a slap. I didn't steal him, I say, my voice rising despite my efforts to control it. He was left here, on my porch, in a storm. He was dying. A likely story, the man scoffs. He takes another step forward. The other 3 fan out, their posture tense, ready. A barren human, desperate for a child. It's a tale as old as time. The insult hits its mark, a fresh stab in an old wound. Hot fury wars with my fear. You know nothing about me. I know you are a thief, he snarls, his voice dropping low and dangerous. His eyes flicker with a momentary flash of gold. I am KL, beta of this pack, and I am here to reclaim what is mine. Yours? The word hangs in the air. This man, is he Finn's father? The one who abandoned him? My protective rage flares hotter. He was left to die. I repeat, my voice shaking with anger now. What kind of father would do that? Kale's face darkens. You dare accuse me? You, a human stray we suffer to live on our borders? You stole him. You will be judged for it. He gestures to his men. Take the pup and bring her. Panic, cold and sharp, cuts through my anger. They're going to take Finn. They're going to take me. The thought of their justice, swift and unforgiving as my grandfather said, is a terrifying black hole opening at my feet. As two of the men start to move towards me, a new presence enters the clearing. It is not a sound. It is a pressure drop. A sudden, profound shift in the world's gravity. As if a mountain just appeared where there was only air a second before. The air grows cold. The light seems to dim. From the deepest, darkest part of the woods, a wolf emerges. My breath catches in my throat. I have seen the pack's wolves before, from a distance. They are large, impressive beasts. This is something else entirely. He is immense, a creature of nightmare and legend. His fur is the color of midnight, a pure, starless black that seems to drink the light. His shoulders are a solid wall of muscle, and he moves with a slow, deliberate power that makes the ground itself seem to tremble. But it's his eyes that hold me captive. They are not amber or gold. They are the color of molten silver, glowing with a fierce, ancient intelligence. They are the eyes of a king. Kyle and his men freeze. All arrogance drains from them, replaced by a rigid, fearful deference. They bow their heads, averting their eyes. Alpha, Kale chokes out, his voice tight with shock and submission. The great black wolf ignores him completely. His silver gaze sweeps past the pack members, as if they are nothing more than stones. It passes over me, a brief, searing touch that feels like being struck by lightning, and then it settles on the basket by the door. A low, deep rumble starts in his chest. It's not a growl of aggression. It's something else. Something deeper. A sound of profound, aching recognition. He takes a slow step forward. And another. His paws make no sound on the forest floor. I am terrified. My entire body is screaming at me to run, but I am rooted to the spot. A small, fragile human standing before a god of the wild. But my fear for myself is eclipsed by my fear for Finn. Kyle, seeing the alpha's attention fixed on the baby, seems to regain a sliver of his bravado. Perhaps he sees an opportunity. Alpha Riker, he says, his voice strained. We have found the child. This human witch stole him. She has tainted him with her touch. She must be punished for her betrayal. Betrayal. The word rings with a venomous hypocrisy. The Alpha, Riker, does not even twitch an ear in Kale's direction. His silver eyes are still locked on the basket. He takes another step, and another, until he is standing only a few feet from me. He is so large he blocks out the sun. The air around him smells of pine needles, cold stone, and raw power. I can feel the heat radiating from his body. On his flank, I see a dark, matted patch in his fur, a fresh wound, deep and ragged. He's injured. He lowers his massive head, not to look at me, but to nudge the edge of the basket with his nose. Finn, who should be terrified, just coos. He reaches out a tiny hand, his fingers brushing against the alpha's wet nose. A shudder runs through the great wolf's frame. A deep, guttural sound escapes his throat, full of a pain so raw it makes my own chest ache in sympathy. Hale sees this as a sign of weakness, or perhaps his pride cannot stand being so thoroughly ignored. "The child must be cleansed," he shouts, his voice cracking. "Her human filth is all over him." He lunges. It happens so fast I barely process it. He's not lunging for the wolf. He's lunging for the basket. For Finn. Something inside me snaps. There is no thought, no fear, no logic. There is only a single blinding imperative: protect the child. I throw myself forward, my body a shield. I land on my knees, wrapping my arms around the basket, curling my back over it just as Kale's hands are about to snatch it away. I brace for the impact, for his hands to rip me away, for the pain. It never comes. Instead, there is a blur of black motion, a sound like a thunderclap right next to my ear, a furious snarl that is the most terrifying sound I have ever heard. I risk a glance over my shoulder. The Alpha King, Riker, is between me and Kale. He moved with impossible speed. He didn't just block Kale. He met his lunge. Kyle is on the ground, clutching his arm, his face a mask of shock and agony. Riker stands over him, a low, lethal growl vibrating through the air. His lips are peeled back from teeth, like white daggers. His silver eyes are blazing with a cold, terrifying fury. He is magnificent, and he is terrifying. And he just protected me. But the effort has cost him. The wound on his side, which I'd only glimpsed before, has torn open. Dark blood is now welling up, staining his black fur a deeper, wetter shade. He stumbles, a tremor of weakness running through his powerful legs. One of Kale's men, seeing his leader down and the Alpha weakened, makes a fatal error in judgment. Perhaps he thinks to prove his loyalty. From the corner of my eye, I see him draw a short, wicked-looking hunting knife from his belt. His intention is clear. He's going to strike the Alpha while he's distracted. No. This creature, this king of the forest, just saved me. He saved Finn. He is bleeding. He is defending us. The memory of helplessness, of standing by while others acted, is a spur in my side. I will not be a bystander. Not again. Scrambling to my feet, I do the stupidest, most irrational thing in my life. I move to stand in front of the injured wolf. I place my small, fragile, human body between the Alpha King and the man with the knife. I spread my arms wide, my heart hammering like a war drum. "No," I say, my voice trembling but clear. "You will not touch him." The man with the knife freezes, his eyes wide with disbelief. The other pack members stare, stunned into silence. Even Kale, on the ground, looks up at me with utter shock. A human defending their Alpha. It's unthinkable. It's madness. Behind me, the Alpha King's growling stops. I can feel the immense, hot presence of him at my back. I can feel his silver eyes on me. The world seems to hold its breath. And then, everything goes dark. The first thing I am aware of is the scent. It's not the familiar smell of my cottage wood smoke and dried herbs and damp wool. This is something else. It's clean, like fresh linen, but underneath that is the rich scent of cedar and something else, something uniquely wild, like thunderstorms and old earth. It's the scent from the Alpha's fur. My eyes flutter open. I am not on the cold, hard ground of my yard. I am in a bed, a huge, soft bed with sheets that feel like spun silk against my skin. The room is vast, with a high, beamed ceiling and a massive stone fireplace, where a low fire crackles merrily. The walls are made of dark, polished wood, and a large window looks out not onto my familiar clearing, but onto a sprawling valley nestled between snow-dusted mountains. Where am I? I try to sit up, and a wave of dizziness washes over me. My head throbs. Easy. The voice is deep. A low, resonant baritone that seems to vibrate in the very air of the room. It's a voice that holds an immense, quiet power. I turn my head. He is sitting in a large armchair near the fire, watching me. It's him, the Alpha King. But he is not a wolf. He is a man, and he is breathtaking. He has the same midnight black hair as his wolf form, thick and slightly untamed. His features are strong and sharp, carved from granite and shadow. High cheekbones, a firm jaw, a mouth that looks like it has forgotten how to smile. He is dressed simply, in dark trousers and a soft gray shirt that does nothing to hide the powerful breadth of his shoulders and chest. But it's his eyes that steal my breath all over again. They are the same as the wolf's. Molten silver, intelligent, ancient, and right now filled with a look of profound, aching turmoil. He rises from the chair and moves towards the bed. He doesn't have the fluid grace of the other shifters. He has a solid, grounded presence. The walk of a king. I notice he's favoring his right side. A slight stiffness in his gait. The wound. "You are in the pack house," he says, his voice quiet, almost gentle. "You fainted." "Then," I whisper, my throat dry. "The baby. Where is he?" A flicker of something surprise, admiration, crosses his face. He is safe. He is with the pack's healers. He is my nephew. Nephew. The word hangs between us. I stare at him, my mind struggling to piece it all together. "Kyle," he said the pup was his. A muscle feathers in Riker's jaw. His silver eyes harden. Kyle lies. My sister, Alara, died in childbirth a few months ago. Her son, Finian, was entrusted to the care of the elders. Kale was betrothed to my sister. With her gone and Finian the only heir to her line, he stood to gain nothing. He wanted power. He saw the pup as an obstacle. The ugly truth dawns on me. So he took him. He left him on my porch. "Yes," Riker says, his voice tight with a cold, controlled rage. "He knew of the human woman living on our border, the outcast. He planned to use you. He would discover the pup in your care, accuse you of theft and witchcraft. A perfect excuse to eliminate both a political rival and a troublesome human in one move. He would be seen as a hero, saving the lost heir. The sheer, calculated cruelty of it makes me feel sick. He would have let Finn die in that storm, all for ambition. I was watching," Riker continues, his gaze intense. "I have been watching your cottage for a while." "Why?" I ask, my voice barely audible. He looks away, towards the fire. The light catches the sharp planes of his face, casting his eyes into shadow. He seems to be struggling for words. There is a connection, a pull, something I did not understand. When I felt the pup's distress, felt his life force near yours, I came. I saw you take him in. I saw you care for him. His silver eyes meet mine again, and they are filled with a raw, painful vulnerability that seems completely at odds with the immense power he projects. I saw you stand before me to protect him, and then I saw you stand before a blade to protect me. My heart is hammering. The air in the room is thick, charged with an unspoken truth that I can feel on my skin. "Why would a human do that?" he asks, his voice a low whisper. "Why would you shield a beast that could tear you apart in a second?" "Because you were protecting us," I answer just as quietly. "Because no one should have to face a blade alone. Because it was the right thing to do." He takes a step closer to the bed. He lifts a hand, large and calloused. And for a heart-stopping moment, I think he is going to touch me. His fingers tremble slightly before he lets his hand fall back to his side. "The indifference of your kind nearly destroyed my family centuries ago," he says, his voice rough with old pain. "A betrayal born of fear and greed. We have learned to never trust a human's heart. We have learned that compassion is a weakness you do not possess." He looks at me, and his silver eyes are blazing. "And then there is you." The silence stretches, taut and humming. "There is a reason for the pull I felt, Alara," he says, his voice so low it's almost a growl. "A reason my wolf recognized you. A reason the pup, my own blood, settled in your arms as if he'd been born there." He takes a deep, ragged breath. "Our kind have one. A single soul in all of existence that is a perfect mirror to our own. A bond forged by destiny itself. It is the most sacred law of our people. It is a gift, and it is a curse." He finally looks at me, and the raw, unshielded truth in his eyes hits me with the force of a physical blow. It is called a mate bond. His words hang in the air, echoing in the sudden, ringing silence of my mind. Mate, bond. The concepts are alien, ripped from myth and folklore. They don't belong in the real world. They certainly don't belong to me. Me, Alara. The human. The barren woman. The outcast. I stare at him, at this impossible king, and a wild, hysterical laugh bubbles up in my throat. I choke it down. This isn't real. I hit my head when I fainted. This is a dream. A fever dream brought on by stress and proximity to magic. "No," I whisper. It's the only word I can manage. The pain that flashes across his face is so sharp, so immediate. It's like I've physically struck him. His composure, the kingly mask he wears, cracks for a moment, revealing the raw wound beneath. "I know," he says, his voice tight. He turns away from me, pacing to the window and staring out at the valley. His back is a rigid wall of muscle. "I know it is impossible. A human. It has not happened in 1,000 years. I fought it. I denied it. I told myself it was a sickness, a madness." He rests a hand on the cold window pane, but the bond does not lie. Every instinct in my body, every beat of my wolf's heart, screams your name. It has been screaming your name for months, ever since you came back to your grandfather's cottage. That's why I was watching. Trying to understand. Trying to disprove it. It all clicks into place. The feeling of being watched in the woods. The unnatural sense of safety I sometimes felt, even when I should have been terrified. It was him. Always him. "When I saw you shield Finian," he continues, his back still to me. "When you put yourself between me and that blade, the bond, it settled. It clicked into place with a force that nearly brought me to my knees. It no longer matters what I believe. It simply is." He finally turns back to me. The turmoil in his eyes is a storm. "And that is why you must leave." The words are a punch to the gut. "What?" "This world is not for you," he says, his voice flat, devoid of emotion now. It's the voice of a king making a decree. It is violent. It is brutal. Our laws are not your laws. Our lives are not your lives. Kyle is not the only one who sees you as an intruder, a contamination. Now that the bond is known and they will all feel it from me, now they will see you as a weakness, a target. They will try to hurt you to get to me. He takes a step towards me. "I watched you for weeks, Alara. I saw your loneliness. I saw the quiet grief you carry. I know what your world did to you. I cannot, I will not be another man who brings you nothing but pain." He is pushing me away, just like everyone else. He has seen my past, my trauma, my flaw, and has judged me incapable, too fragile, too broken. A familiar, bitter anger rises in my throat, hot and acidic. It's the same anger I felt in the doctor's office. The same anger I felt when my fiancé told me we should see other people as if I were a disease he needed to be cured of. All my life, I have been told I am not enough, not whole enough, not strong enough, not worthy. And I am so tired of it. The strength I found in the yard, the fire that ignited when I chose to protect Finn, it's still there, a hot, glowing coal in my chest. No, I say, my voice doesn't tremble this time. It's clear and strong. He stops, surprised. I push myself up, ignoring the slight dizziness. I swing my legs over the side of the bed. My feet touch the cool wood of the floor. I stand. I am small before him, fragile even, but I am standing on my own 2 feet. You don't get to make that decision for me, I say, my eyes locked on his. You don't get to look at my scars and decide they make me weak. My whole life, men have been telling me what I can't do, what I can't be, what my body can't handle. I will not let you be another one. I take a step towards him. He stands his ground, a great, immovable mountain of a man. You talk about my world, I continue, my voice gaining strength with every word. My world is a place of quiet betrayals and polite dismissals. It's a world that lets a baby die on a doorstep, because getting involved is inconvenient. Your world may be violent, but at least it's honest. You saved me. You saved Finn. In the last 24 hours, you have shown me more honor and protection than any man in my entire life. I am right in front of him now. I have to crane my neck to look up at him. His silver eyes are wide, all his kingly authority stripped away, leaving only the shocked, vulnerable man beneath. So don't you dare, I whisper, my voice thick with emotion. Don't you dare tell me you are trying to protect me by sending me away. You are not protecting me. You are protecting yourself from feeling, from trusting, from the possibility that a fragile human might just be strong enough to stand beside you. The silence that follows is absolute. It's just the crackle of the fire and the sound of our breathing. A soft knock comes at the door, breaking the spell. A moment later, the door opens and a kind-faced older woman with gray-streaked hair enters. She is carrying a bundle of blankets. It's Finn. He is awake, clean, warm, and looking around with bright, curious eyes. He sees me, and his face breaks into that wide, gummy smile. A happy gurgle escapes his lips. The woman smiles gently. He was asking for you, Luna. She glances at Riker, her eyes knowing and warm. She walks over and, without a word, places Finn in my arms. The moment his familiar weight settles against my chest, something clicks into place inside me. This is right. This is real. Finn looks from me to Riker, who is still staring at me, utterly speechless. Finn reaches out a chubby hand, not for me, but for Riker. He fusses, straining to get closer. I think he wants you too, I say softly, hesitantly, as if he's afraid the slightest touch might break us both. Riker steps forward. He raises a large, trembling hand and gently lays it on Finn's back. Finn instantly settles, sighing with contentment. His hand is warm, the heat seeping through the blanket, through my arm, a current of pure energy. His thumb brushes against my skin. Lightning. A jolt of it arcs between us. Pure, undiluted feeling. Longing, fear, relief, and a bone-deep recognition that transcends words. Riker's silver eyes lock with mine, over the top of the baby's head. The last of his resistance crumbles. The king vanishes, leaving only the man. A man who has been just as lonely as I have. Alara, he breathes my name. It's not a statement, it's a prayer, a surrender. I'm not leaving, I whisper. This is the first place I have ever felt like I belonged with him. I look down at Finn, and with you. He closes his eyes, a shudder running through his powerful frame. When he opens them again, the storm is gone. There is only a clear, vast, and terrifying expanse of pure emotion. You will be my death, he murmurs, his voice thick with a feeling so intense it makes my knees weak. Or maybe, I reply, my voice shaking, I'll be the reason you finally start to live. He leans down, his movements slow, deliberate, giving me every chance to pull away. His shadow falls over me, his scent enveloping me. Cedar and thunderstorms and home. He is going to kiss me, and I am going to let him. I rise on my toes, closing the last inch of space between us. His lips meet mine. It is not a gentle kiss. It is a collision, a branding. It is years of loneliness and longing and fear poured into a single, desperate moment. It is the heat of the fire, the cold of the mountain, the wildness of the forest. It's the silent hum I felt in Finn, magnified 1,000 times. It's a promise, a claim, a final, irrevocable surrender to the truth that has been humming between us all along. In his kiss, I am not broken. I am not barren. I am not an outcast. I am found. 6 months later, the great hall of the pack house is filled to overflowing. Bodies are packed shoulder to shoulder, a shifting sea of shifters, and the few humans allied to the pack. The air is thick with the scent of roasted meat, spiced ale, and the electric hum of anticipation. Torches flicker in their sconces, casting a warm, golden glow over everything, making the hall feel like the inside of a beating heart. I stand on the raised dais beside Riker. He is in his human form, dressed in ceremonial leathers embossed with the silver sigil of the Alpha. He is every inch the king. His presence a solid, grounding weight that commands the respect of every soul in the room. I am wearing a gown of deep forest green, the color of new life. It feels strange to be dressed so finely, to be the center of so many eyes. But when I feel the warmth of Riker's hand on the small of my back, the fear melts away. Finn, now a sturdy toddler who shifts between a clumsy human form and a fluffy, oversized wolf pup form with alarming frequency, is currently in his pup shape. He's chasing the end of my gown, tumbling over his own paws in a flurry of black fur and happy yips, much to the amusement of the crowd. Kyle was judged. His betrayal was laid bare for the entire pack to see. His punishment was not death, but exile, a fate worse than death for a creature of the pack. To be stripped of your name, your family, your very identity, and cast out into the lonely world. A fitting justice for a man who tried to inflict that same loneliness on a child. The pack's acceptance of me was not immediate. It was slow, wary. I was a curiosity, a weakness in their alpha, but they saw Riker's devotion. They saw the way Finn thrived in my care, a pup who had lost his mother but found another. And they saw day by day that my presence did not make their alpha weaker. It made him whole. The hard edges of his grief and solitude began to soften. He smiled more. He laughed. The king, who ruled with solemn duty, began to rule with a quiet joy. Tonight is the formal ceremony, the one that binds me to him, to them, not just by the unseen threads of a fated bond, but by law and ritual. Tonight, I become their Luna. Riker raises a hand, and a hush falls over the massive hall. His silver eyes find mine, and in their depths, I see a universe of love and devotion that still, after all these months, steals my breath. We are here tonight, his voice rings out, clear and strong, to welcome a new heart into the heart of our pack. We are here to honor the one chosen, not by me, but by fate itself. The one who showed us that true strength is not found in fang and claw alone, but in a compassion that defies logic, in a courage that stands before a blade for another. He turns to me, taking both of my hands in his. His are warm and strong. Mine are small and trembling slightly. Ilara, he says, his voice for me alone now. You came into my world like a whisper, and you became the roar in my heart. You taught me that scars are not weaknesses, but maps of where we have been. You are my mate, my queen, my home. He lifts my hand to his lips and kisses my knuckles. A murmur of approval ripples through the crowd. Of a commotion at the main doors of the hall draws our attention. Two of the pack guards are blocking the entrance, speaking in low, harsh tones to someone trying to enter. Riker frowns. "What is it?" he calls out. One of the guards turns. An uninvited human alpha. He claims to know the Luna. My blood runs cold. The man pushes past the guards, stumbling into the torchlight. It's him. Mark, my ex-fiancé. The man who pronounced me broken and left me to deal with the pieces. He looks older, thinner. There are lines of desperation around his eyes and mouth. He's dressed in a fine but rumpled suit, completely out of place in this wild, primal setting. He sees me on the dais, and his eyes widen in disbelief. He takes in my gown, the adoring crowd, the powerful man at my side, whose hand is now possessively, protectively on my back. "Alara?" he says, his voice a pathetic squeak. I finally found you. Your family was so worried. I was so worried. I've been looking for you for months." A low growl rumbles in Riker's chest, a sound that makes the very air vibrate. Mark flinches, his eyes darting around the hall, finally seeming to comprehend the nature of the people surrounding him. Fear dawns on his face. "I came to take you home," he says, his voice pleading. "Away from whatever this is. I made a mistake, Alara. What the doctor said. It doesn't matter. I want you back." I look at him. This man who was once my entire world, the source of my deepest pain and humiliation. I feel nothing. A strange, hollow pity, perhaps. He is a ghost from a life that no longer belongs to me. I don't need Riker to defend me. I don't need the guards to throw him out. I find my own voice. "You're mistaken, Mark," I say, my voice calm and clear, ringing through the silent hall. "You aren't here to take me home." I gesture around the hall, at the sea of faces, at the child playing at my feet, at the king by my side. I already am home. The finality in my tone is absolute. There is no room for argument. He sees it. He sees the woman I have become. Not the fragile, grieving girl he abandoned, but a queen in her own right, loved, respected, powerful. His face crumples. Defeat and the bitter taste of what he threw away are written all over it. The guards take his arms and escort him out, a ghost banished back to a world of shadows. Riker looks down at me, his silver eyes burning with pride and a fierce, possessive love. "My Luna," he murmurs, "for my ears only." He leans down and kisses me, right there, in front of the entire pack. It's not the desperate crashing kiss of our first meeting. This is a kiss of certainty, of peace, of forever. The hall erupts in a roar of cheers, howls, and stamping feet. Later, when the celebrations are winding down, we slip away. Riker, Finn, and I. We walk out onto a wide stone balcony that overlooks the sleeping valley. The moon is a perfect silver disk in a sky full of diamond dust stars. Riker wraps his arms around me from behind, his chin resting on the top of my head. I hold a sleepy Finn, now in his human form, his head nestled in the crook of my neck. He smells of milk and sleep. We are a family. A strange, impossible, perfect family. I used to think the silence was a warning. I say softly, my voice carried away by the cool night breeze. "And now?" Riker asks, his voice a low rumble against my back. I look out at the vast, wild beauty of our home. I feel the steady beat of his heart against my spine, the warm, trusting weight of the child in my arms. My perceived weakness, my compassion, my refusal to be indifferent, it wasn't a flaw. It was a compass. It pointed me here. It pointed me north, to a place where my heart could finally be safe. "Now," I whisper, a smile touching my lips. "It's just quiet."